Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast. We have an absolutely amazing guest for you today. She's the queen of goofiness. She's a brand strategist. She's a speaker. She's the creator of Rock the Boat. She's a social media rock star. And more importantly, she is a dear friend and just a wonderful human being. Please help me welcome to the show, Raquel Borras. Raquel, welcome to the show.
Thank you. This is so cool. I think this is my third stint as a guest, I think.
I think so. And
Yeah.
it is so nice to have you. We can talk about all the incredible skills and traits that you have and all of the wonderful things you do on social media. But more importantly, you're just an incredible person. And for anyone who knows you, they know that you are genuine, that you're sincere. So I can't thank you enough for joining the show.
Well, thank you. I always love being able to have the opportunity to come on and then just talk to you because, I don't get to see you that often.
Exactly. So you've got a new role at New American Funding. We're going to dive right in. Tell me about the new role. Tell me what you're doing and what's new at New American Funding.
So essentially, I'm doing the same thing in the sense of helping our loan officers create content, helping with our social media strategies, all of that. But I was doing it on a regional level, so I was just focused on the San Diego area and Temecula. And so with this role, it's essentially a promotion to now I get to be a part of the actual corporate marketing department. So that's really exciting. I'm excited for the challenge because I love what I do. And, there are moments where you do feel like, okay, I need to kind of grow and be challenged a little bit more. So the fact that now I'm like on the actual corporate team, it does bring a sense of challenge there. Just like, any company, when you're working in the corporate department, it is different. So I'm just excited to see where it goes. I mean, I'm going to have more of a role, I guess, like as a brand ambassador, if you will. I'll be able to have the opportunity to go to more conferences and represent NAF. And the potential is there, which is great, right? Like to be in a role where you can even grow even more.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what you can do on the national stage. You have such an incredible platform. So let's dive in. Whether it's on the local level, whether it's on the national level, you've helped loan officers get their story told. So
Yes.
let's dive into that a little of what's some of the things that holds back loan officers from getting out there and starting to share their knowledge and expertise.
The number one thing I get is just, they're just so self-conscious and they're not used to doing video. I mean, we have to remember that loan officers, they're salespeople that are used to being in front of people, at least, before, COVID, and building those relationships and being face to face. So asking these loan officers to now get in front of their camera, their phone, and start doing video and creating content, it's really intimidating. So a lot of them just don't even know where to start. And then, the typical narrative comes in of like, I don't like how I sound, I don't like how I look, am I going to be judged, what are people going to say, which is very natural just for anybody. It was natural for me too. Yep. So that's essentially like the biggest thing that I find. But once they get on, and the loan officers that I have had managed to really convince to get out there, once they put themselves out there and they see the type of engagement and response that they get, and it's always positive, that's when they realize, oh gosh, like now I understand what you're talking about, because now I have the ability to connect with people that I would never have connected with, because you can only go and have coffee and meet people, so many people in a day. Right. But with social media, you can reach thousands, millions of people in one day with one piece of content that you put out there. And I think once they realize that, they're like, okay, now I see what the hoopla has been about.
You do such a great job of disarming people.
I try.
When you start talking to people, the defenses go down, and then you see that person's genuine personality come through. What are some of the ways, or how do you do that? I would love to know. You're a master at it. Help our audience, of how you disarm people and just make them feel at home in talking to you.
That's something that I have been thinking about, because, you do see a lot of people on social media kind of trying to explain how to be able to do this, right? But I feel like I like to just walk the walk and be the example. So if I actually have someone with me, I will pull the camera out and I will just in that moment start talking and get them in the video. And so they kind of see that it's just like it's happening. Like there's no explanation to it. If I'm able to do it and kind of put myself out there and be kind of vulnerable where I also don't know how it's going to look or what I'm saying, I just do it in the moment. I feel like then it gives them permission to do the same. And I think that's a lot of what I put out in my content is I'm not really so much telling you how to do it, I'm just doing it. So if I'm not going to sit here and be like, hey, get in front of the camera. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you have edits or captions or if you have a filter or if you have makeup on or what you look like. I don't say that, I just do it, right? Like, so that the video that I did last week or a couple weeks ago, I was on the floor in my bedroom, no makeup on, my hair was up, I was in like gym clothes, and didn't edit nothing. Like it was a one taker. So I'm just trying to show like, hey, I'm doing it. So this should show you that like it can be done instead of me telling you how to do it, if that makes sense. Like I feel like that's how I kind of do it.
Well, you do such a great job of setting the example for people. One of the other things that I think you have such an incredible gift of is your genuine, authentic personality comes through. Right? You say the queen of goofiness. You have fun with doing what you're doing, and you're still highly professional. You still get the message told. Talk to me about how you help people bring out their own unique personality. That we don't need another Michael Hammond. We don't need another Raquel. We need another one of them just to be the best version of themselves. How do you get them to do that besides just by example? I know you do an incredible job of example, but
gosh, I think I just try to remind them that we all are human, that there are many different sides of ourselves. Because I think, Michael, that's something that I've struggled with. And, I go to therapy now, and I've been going for the last several months every single week. And a lot has to do with embracing all sides of me and being okay with it, because like you said, I am the queen of goofiness. I say that because I have a goofy personality, but I struggled with that because I didn't know if it was going to equate to being professional. And that was really hard for me at first because I feel like people really do want to kind of put you in a box and label you. And we have so many different sides to us. And so it's kind of reminding people like, hey, it's okay to showcase those different sides of you because they're you, and it makes who you are you, and that's what's going to get people to feel more relatable to you as well. But it is a struggle. I mean, like I said, I'm now part of the corporate marketing team. Being on a corporate level, more eyeballs are on me, more people at the company are going to like see what I'm doing. I'm going to have to be very sensitive to the fact that like I do have an employer, and what I say and what I do can, and it can affect my job, my future. I mean, as anybody, putting themselves out there. So that is a little scary, but I have to remind myself, like, I have to be who I am because that's also going to get me to have people gravitate towards me that are the same. And I'm in a place in my life, that's what I want in my world and in my surroundings are the people that are 100% who they are. Like, I don't want anyone pretending to be someone that they're not. I used to hang out with people like that. It was toxic. It wasn't healthy. And as I get older, I realize that if I expect to have people be themselves around me, I have to be willing to embrace who I am. And that's all the parts of me.
Well, and I love that because you're always genuine and authentic. And I know the first time I started watching your videos, you were doing the 30-day challenge. And just to see that growth in those 30 days, but by the time I was done, I really felt like I knew you. And then when we finally met in person a number of years later, because of all of the videos.
I know, years later,
it's like a best friend that you haven't seen for a while, and you give a big hug. And I think one of the things that you do such a magical job of is that authentic sharing, the good, the bad, the struggles, the challenges, even now just describing, hey, at a corporate level, I feel the pressure, but I still have to be myself. People can relate to that. And I think that's why you have such incredible engagement is because you share from the heart, you share from a very genuine and authentic place. And I think more importantly than anything, it's because you genuinely care about other people.
I do. I actually like people. You know how you get a lot of people that are like, "Ugh, I hate people." I mean, I have my moments, believe me. But as on a whole, like I really enjoy getting to know people and talking to people of all walks of life and just like hearing their stories and just getting to know who they are. And I like a cheerleader. Like I want everybody to be able to be successful in life and be happy. And um, yeah, I don't. It's just something that I've always loved, which can be a detriment too, because then I became much of a people pleaser, because then I'm like, well, if I love all people, then all people should love me. You know, it's
Well,
like a
you know that
very
that doesn't happen. It is scary because you put yourself out there and you're like, wow, that didn't go as I thought it would. I didn't
yeah.
get the reception but I think more importantly than anything, it's if we learn that when we put stuff out there, we attract like-minded people. And for the most part, people that don't like us, don't agree with us, they just stop following. That's okay.
Yeah, or they'll probably still follow you because they they want to kind of be that person, but at the same time, it's gonna happen no matter what. Like when people get out there, like you're always going to have people that have an opinion, and that's okay. People have opinions. We're all entitled to them. It's just unfortunately a lot of people want to be very vocal about those opinions, and that's where it gets a little, kind of tough. And I mean, just even 2 weeks ago, or it was last week, I don't remember, when I posted about the story. And it's funny because I'd never talked about it on LinkedIn, where I almost got off of LinkedIn because of that one guy who reshared that post of mine and didn't say very nice things. And the divine timing that you, the next morning when I was getting ready to just delete my account, you had posted about me, not knowing anything that was going on. And it was just one of those things where I had to realize that, okay, I had all this positive feedback. I have people like you who I really respect. And here is someone that I really respect and I look up to. And he's telling people that they should follow my content and that they should follow me. Okay, I'm going to be more inclined to listen to what you have to say than what this person who I wasn't even connected to. We were like a second degree or third degree connection, and he happened to see my post and then reshared it. I was like, I'm not going to let someone like that have that effect on me. Like, that's not fair, and it's not fair to you either, right? Like,
Right? You have such an incredible gift, and I almost get choked up when you say that because
aw,
I want people to follow you. When I wrote that, you're right, I didn't know any of the story,
you didn't know
but it was,
anything.
hey, if you guys want to see people doing it right, if you want to see how it should be done on social, follow Raquel. She's doing it right. She's sharing. She's authentic. So I was so delighted when you shared that. It touched my heart and it kind of gave me a shot in the arm of I need to keep doing what I'm doing because sometimes it's
Yeah.
hard. We post and we don't get feedback or we don't get a lot of positive feedback. And you're like, is anyone even watching and do I
Yeah.
even make a difference? And then you said that and I was like, ah, thank
See,
you. I
but you
needed
made
that shot in the arm as
yeah.
much as you did.
Yeah, but isn't it amazing how you supporting someone, like what that did? And that's why I tell people, be a cheerleader out there, support people, collaborate, talk about other people. I think that's what happens too, is a lot of people think oh, I have to get on social media. That's so self-serving. Oh my gosh, so vain. I'm like, not necessarily. If you're doing it in a way where you're sharing your platform to promote
Right.
other people, then no, you're not being completely self-serving. You're helping others. And clearly you helped me in a moment where I was literally I was crying the night before. I felt like I did something wrong. I mean, it was beating me up. And I've never experienced that even since then. It's the only time that I've experienced something like that online, which I'm very blessed, being that I've been on social media for quite some time. So I am very grateful that that was the only time that it happened. But people don't realize we we can be really affected by something like that. So to have someone on the opposite end do what you did, that's really powerful. And I want people to be in your position more often. To be the Michael Hammond that's out there, like, and that's why your podcast is, because that's what you're doing, right? You have your guests and you're helping promote them, and you're showcasing them and shedding light on them. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you. Let's go back to you because you are the incredible guest. And another thing that I think you have an incredible skill set that I watch and I so want to emulate, and I'm nowhere near as good as you are at it, is you do an incredible job of not only crossing multimedia or social media platforms, you can have a killer following on LinkedIn and on Instagram and everything else, but one thing that you do that I want you to talk about a little bit, and maybe you can share kind of how you do it, is
Okay.
how do you then turn what you're doing into meaningful conversations with people? I see so many times where you're like, oh, this person I've been connected to with years, they're now in San Diego and I'm meeting with them for a coffee, or I'm meeting them here. How do you make that transition, and you do it so naturally? I would love to better myself and better that skill for all our listeners because you're a master at it.
It does take a lot of time and energy. I'm going to be honest with you, Michael. It's one of those things where when people come into town, for instance, even when I was in Virginia, I mean, more so here because San Diego is, a destination for work and for travel and just personal. I make it a point to drive to downtown. Like, I hate driving to downtown. It's awful because of the traffic and just like, people who live in a city usually stay away from their downtown. Right. That's where it's infested with tourists. But a lot of them are here for a conference, and it's downtown. So I will make the effort to drive down there. I did one day park, and it was like $25 or $30 to find a spot. But I do that knowing that I'm going to sit down with someone that I've known for years online, but have never had the opportunity to be one-on-one. I'm going to do that. Like another connection of mine, we went and I picked her up from her hotel. We went and got pedicures, and then she had a song. I don't know if you're connected with Rachel Druckenmiller. She's not in the industry, but she's very well known on LinkedIn. And then later I went back to the hotel with her, or the next day I went because she was releasing a song live. Like, I go out of my way, and not a lot of people are willing to go out of their way. I am, because in my gut, I know the people that I should be going out of my way for, if that makes sense. So it's like, it's always the right people, people that I end up being like good friends with.
What's that bridge or that connection? How do you, when you know somebody's coming in town, you saw their feed, you saw that they're going to be in San Diego, how do you make that connection of saying, hey, we should get together so it's not creepy, so it's not awkward? Because you're a master at it. And I want our listeners to learn, and I want to learn.
So for instance, like Brian View, for instance, okay?
Yep.
Now, Brian and I have been connected on LinkedIn for years, never met each other. And so he happened to post on his LinkedIn that he was in San Diego to speak. I went immediately into his DMs and I sent him an audio message, or maybe even a video message. And I was like, Brian, I know you're here. I need to meet you. Like, no, like I sometimes don't even give like a chance to say no. But I was like, no. And he's like, okay, Raquel, I have time tonight, but I'm in Coronado. Like, I have a small window. And I'm like, that's fine. So I drove all the way out to Coronado, which isn't like, good 35 minutes.
Right.
And I happened to show up, and John Hill was there, who I've already had met before. And we sat at the bar for a couple hours. Then they went off to go to bed, and I went home. But like, I reached out to him and was like, hey, I have to meet you. So like, how are we going to make this happen? Like, that's just how I do it.
Well, let's summarize, because I think that is so critical for people to understand. One, as soon as you see that activity, you instantly take action. We need to meet. I see you're in the area. You don't overthink it. You don't get so worried about it.
I don't overthink it. If I'm in a baseball cap in that moment, I don't care. Like, there have been times where I've shown up to meet people for coffee and I haven't showered yet, and I put on a baseball cap and I meet them because it's early in the morning. Granted, hello, I get it. I'm a female. I do it in public places. It's with people that I've had genuine connection with online. Yes, I've had people that I don't really know that have reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, hey, I'm going to be in town for a conference. Would you be willing to meet? And usually, like I said, I do say yes. I have yet to really now that I think about it, I have yet to meet anyone that ever felt uncomfortable, that ever was weird. I have a really good intuition. I really follow my gut now. I'm really good at it, and it hasn't failed me yet. Because even my mom, because I live with my mom, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to meet so-and-so from LinkedIn. And they're like, she's like, I just don't understand. Like, she still, it like blows her mind. And I'm like, don't worry, Mom, it's a public place. Like, I've known this person. Like, they're connected with people that I know that they have met. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
Yes, you've got to trust your instincts, and you got to say, hey, they're connected to other people that I know.
Yeah, they've met somebody else in person that I know.
And you do it in a public spot, but you're masterful at that. Raquel, you and I could talk for hours, and you are welcome back anytime. I want to make sure you also get a plug. You do Rock the Boat. It is an incredible cause that I see you that are so passionate about. Tell all of our listeners a little bit about Rock the Boat and how they could help or help further your cause.
Perfect timing, because I do want to kind of revamp it and Scott Payne. I think his daughter just said that she would go on it.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah, so I want to bring it back, and luckily NAF is very supportive of what I do. So that's what's great is I can promote it, and it's not like, oh gosh, what am I doing? So yeah, I have conversations with kids of all ages from all around the world, and it's just sharing my platform to be able to showcase our youth in any way they want. Like if they have a business or a nonprofit, or if they have something they want to share specifically, they can. Or it's just simply us having a conversation with each other and them just kind of talking about themselves. It really is just me wanting to get the perspective of a kid in this day and age. I want to hear just kind of how they view the world, what they're doing, because we all know that each generation is evolving tremendously over time. And I have two kids, they're not kids anymore, 23 and 20. So I have experience with the youth. But it's great to hear, perspectives from kids that don't even really know who I am, and for them to be able to feel like they can talk to an adult and be open with them. It's also a way of me setting an example of like, hey, adults, like there shouldn't be such a huge disconnect with you and the younger generations. There's actually so much more similarities and commonalities that you think, and not only that, you'd be surprised that these kids actually want to have conversations with adults. It's just, unfortunately, the adults aren't very open to doing that because they're maybe intimidated. Maybe they once again think like, what do I have to talk about with a kid? I'm like, oh, you'd be surprised.
Exactly. I love what you're doing. If there's any way we can ever help, if there's any time you have announcements to go out, I want to share those with our listeners, because it is such a great cause. And there doesn't need to be that huge disconnect. Give them a voice. They have so many great things to share, and I'm glad that you're giving them a platform to make that happen.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. Like I truly it's so fulfilling. If you can find something that literally you walk away feeling so fulfilled and just makes my heart so happy. I feel really blessed to have found something that does that. I mean, my job makes me do that, like it gives me that too, but so does Rock the Boat. So I feel really lucky that I have the opportunities to do that. So I encourage people to go out there and find what like really fills their heart up with joy, and you just never know what it'll be.
I couldn't agree more. Raquel, if people want to find out more about what you're doing at New American Funding, if they want to find out more about Rock the Boat, what's the best way they can do so?
They can follow me on LinkedIn, on Instagram. My Rock the Boat channel's on YouTube. You can just Google me and somehow figure out how to reach out to me. I know it sounds so like Google me, but I mean, if you do, you'll find where to find me.
They certainly will. You're all over the internet. You're killing it. I watch you. I recommend everyone else to follow Raquel. She's just doing it right. She's doing it her way, and it really has an impact on people. My dear friend, thank you so much for being a guest on this episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast.
Thank you.